Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be my top 10 favorite cool tone palettes for 2024. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be an overview of the 10 cool tone palettes of 2024 that I tried this year that were also often new to the market that I loved the most. Yes, I'm going to be doing my end of year favorites at the end of the year as well. I always do them between Christmas and New Year's. So you're going to have to hang in there to see all of my makeup favorites of the year. And I know that some of these are probably going to make it on the end of year best eyeshadow palette list for sure. But we all know I love a good cool tone, and there were quite a few cool tone releases this year, or at least that I got to try this year. And I was like, I just want to do a dedicated video of all my favorite cool tone palettes of the year. So let's just get to it. So yes, 10 favorite palettes from drugstore to high-end to indie. There's a whole host of things here. And I have one honorable mention for you because it is my prediction that I will love this one, but I'm not entirely sure yet. And it's the reason why I'm not sure is because I haven't tried this on my face yet. However, going by how much I love the first rendition of this palette, it is my prediction that I will love this just as much. What am I talking about? It's the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Moonlight Palette. The minute this dropped, you guys knew I had to try this because I love the original Ethereal Eyes so much. Here is what that palette looks like. Look at how stunning it is. And I've swatched it already, and the shades that pull more warm toned in the pan weren't warm toned on my skin at all. Swatches were lovely. The thing I loved about the Ethereal Eye so much was the shimmer quality because it's very versatile. You can do very sparkly looks with it if you build it up to full intensity, or you could go for like a wash of shimmer if that's what you want to go for. So they're very easy to manipulate and play with, and it's just a stunning palette, and I just love this color story. You get some taupey things. Here we get a little bit of warmth, it seems, as I said, but for me, it wasn't too warm toned at all. I think it's the fact that it has a silver reflective background that actually makes these shades look a little bit warmer toned than they actually are. But it seems to be a really good cool tone neutral palette, and I can't wait to put this on my eyes. It's gonna be in my eyeshadow palette review video that I will do right before Christmas. So by the end of the month, you will be able to hear all of my thoughts and whether my prediction is right. And then we'll see if this pops up in the end of year favorites list. We'll see. It's a good contender, I think. So I very deliberately said that this top 10 is focused on things I tried this year because there's always a couple of palettes that I buy that are released towards the end of a year that I don't get to try until the new year. It happens to me every year, and it happened to me with this. This is the GlossGods Gal on Jupiter. It was released for Black Friday 2023. I picked it up, but there were too many palettes I still had to review before I could get to this, so I tried it very early on in 2024, and it became an instant favorite. We all know I love a good GlossGods palette, so we knew that this was not going to be an exception. Look at this color story. Is this not one of the best cool tone neutral color stories you've ever seen? It's got grays, it's got taupes, it has things that look brown, but they're cool tone browns. They're really interesting. It has a holographic shimmer. We love innovation in a formula, and it just has really pretty shimmers overall. We get 7 shimmers and 5 mattes, which I also like. The only downside to this is that I feel that like all of the mattes are in the top row here. The manufacturer made a mistake with the layout apparently. So the shades were glued in the wrong way from what it was supposed to look like. And I just feel that the gap between these two shades are too big and these two are too similar. So to me, if this had been a touch deeper, it would have been perfect, but this is such a good palette. I love this thing to pieces. It was lovely. I know a lot of people think that this looks like cheap makeup, but it is definitely cheaper from an indie brand perspective than compared to like other indie brands that are out there. These palettes retail for around the €40 mark, which I think is really reasonable for the quality you get. So I just heard that this was limited edition. The Cradled in Ice from Fantasy Cosmetica. I still love the color of the cover of this so much. And I love me a Fantasy Cosmetica palette. We all know that by now. I love their shimmer formula. They do some amazing things. And again, compared to other indie brands, I feel that Fantasy Cosmetica is, again, quite reasonable. But apparently, this is now sold out and it's not coming back. So, yeah, this is lovely, though. Again, not perfect. I would definitely lose like one of the blues in here, maybe that brighter blue and also the light pink. I didn't necessarily need. So when I tried this palette, I was like, there are definitely a few shades here, especially in the matte category, that I would delete and just make this a 9-pan, like a lot of their other palettes are. And I would have been very happy with that. This has the stunning Fantasy Cosmetica formula that I know, love, and adore. It has plenty of cool tones. This looks warm toned because it has a blue background. It's not. It's like a really good neutral shade that works as a crease shade really well, that goes with the shimmers really well. We get things that pull a little purple. We get those blue shades. You can do a full blue look with this if you so prefer, or you can go super neutral or have a little bit of fun with a neutral with a pop of color, and then these really stunning, really impactful shimmers that aren't flaky. So many indie brands, when they do really impactful shimmer shades, make them really flaky and difficult to pick up with a brush. Like, unless you use fingers or maybe like one of those like sponge tip applicators, you're not going to be able to pick them up. But these just work so well, and especially this shade in the middle, I just love. This like silver thing. It's so pretty. So, so good. Really good palette, and for a cool tone palette, it does have some colorful things in. It's definitely not a cool tone neutral palette. You'll see with some of my other picks here as well that not all of them are 100% cool toned, but I feel that the cool tone looks I get from them are really successful, and this is no exception. And I'm going to repeat something that I heard someone say. I think it was Angelica Nugvist who said something, I think it was in her eyeshadow palette declutter video. You think you don't look good in blue eyeshadow because you hardly ever wear it. But if you commit and you try it, you can definitely make blue eyeshadow look good. And I think this palette gives you a really good place to start with wearing blue shadow and making it like fun for yourself to actually wear. So this palette, I think, again, came out towards the end of 2023, but I didn't get to try it until this year. And it's the Ghostface Lives palette from Glamlite. And this made me fall in love with Glamlite so hard. Glamlite is a brand that I tried before, and then I wasn't sold. Everybody was raving about it, but I wasn't really quite feeling it. And so when they came out with this, I was like, that's gray heaven. If you love cool tones, then grays, and especially grays with different undertones, can be so nice. I think actually Angelica Nugvist decluttered this one, and also her Natasha Denona Xenon. I heard her say things like, but these don't look distinct on me. And I'm like, no, but if you have a cool undertone, the undertones of something like this will definitely show up. I get blue tones in here. I get green tones in here. I get purple tones in here. I get every possible rendition of a gray that I could ever want. And I just love it. So many stunning shades. This shimmer is stunning. Some really lovely mattes in here too. And this just really made me fall in love with Glamlite, as I mentioned. So I bought some more, and I think I like those palettes even better than I do this. Especially the Chucky palette. That is now like my favorite Glamlite palette, but this was very successful for me. I love this thing to pieces. If you love a good gray tone, try this. But cool tones don't have to be expensive. Oh, no. Because I picked this up for like, what, €5 at the UK drugstore? It's by MUA. It is their Illusionist palette. And this is so pretty. So pretty. Really high quality shadows. Very impactful. And I'm not going to say it feels like high-end makeup. Like, the packaging is super cheap. But the formulation of this. These shimmers outperform some many more expensive brands. Yes, some of the thicker formulas you may want to use with a glitter primer just to be sure, but come on, this looks so stunning. And here again, it looks like it has warmth. It's not as warm toned as it might seem, because it is surrounded with these actual true super cool things, this neutral starts to pull warmer tone in your perception. It isn't that warm tone at all. Again, with the undertones here, we get purpley things, we get brown things, we get some true gray leaning things. There are just so many stunning shades in here. I'm so glad I finally picked it up. And I picked it up because I fell in love with the 5 pans from MUA last year. So when I spotted this in store, I decided to pick it up and I wasn't disappointed. And it's so cheap. It's cheap as chips. Online over here in Europe, I can find this on Notino. That's the best place to get this. And then the palette that puts so many people who love their cool tones, like they got a little angry with this palette. And because I had heard so many negative things about how this next palette wasn't cool toned enough for a lot of people, I went in with very low expectations. What palette am I talking about? This guy, the Sigma Cool Neutrals. It's called Cool Neutral, so everybody wanted this to be a true 100% cool tone palette, like the Ghostface Lives or the MUA that I just showed you. This is cool tones, but it does have some warmth. Let me explain. The warmth is definitely over here. Like this is more warm leaning, but the rest of this palette I felt on my skin tone pulled perfectly cool toned. So I think that it depends on what you like makeup wise and also what your undertone is truly like. Like I love cool tones, but my undertone is more neutral leaning. I just prefer cool tones on myself because I do have quite a bit of pink in my skin. So I can wear both. Like I'm wearing a pretty warm toned look today, which I can pull off. I mean, it's fine. Here's the thing though, some people have true cool undertones, and those are going to be the people who struggle using something like this. I view this palette as a perfect cool toned palette for people with warm undertones. And with Sigma, because I'm wearing a lot of Sigma makeup on my face today, because I filmed a full face makeup look before I sat down to film this video, and Sigma overall leans quite warm toned, and Sigma overall I have found from trying some of their other products leans, like they cater more toward medium to deep skin as well, which isn't me, which isn't a lot of people I think viewing my channel and a lot of people who are interested in true cool tones. So therefore I understand why people were angry at this, but I love this thing. It looks stunning. I really like the looks. With a lot of my Sigma palettes, I've always felt they were too dark, but in here, I still get enough contrast. I get a lot of versatility out of this palette. So for the cool tones that are in here, I love it as a cool tone palette. Is it 100% fully cool toned? No, especially not if you do have a cool undertone. Do you have a warm undertone and you want to try cool tones that are not going to make you look washed out and weird and ashy? This is the palette for you. Another surprise for me this year. Affordable, easy to use shadow that, again, I had my doubts about because the Beauty Bay formula and me, we never really got on. I've tried so many of their palettes that looked interesting to me in the past. The Metamorphic is still in my collection, but I had the Wilderness palette. I tried the Age of Opulence palette. I have the Book of Magic palette. And as much as everybody was raving about the Beauty Bay formula, I just didn't get it. Yes, they were beautiful going on, but the shimmers were a bit thick and heavy. They creased on me too bad. Like, I just never really got on until I tried this. I think that the key for me with Beauty Bay shadows is to not try the limited edition stuff, but to use the stuff that they release in their regular range that stays around for a while. And they came out with a Smokey collection this year. So I asked my viewers, I know I'm not the biggest lover of Beauty Bay shadows, but do you think, would you like to see me review this? And everybody was like, yes, please do. So I bought the set of the large palette and this smaller palette. I'm only showing you the smallest one because it's easiest to reach for in my makeup collection. But I think this is all you really need. Yes, the big palette has some really stunning purpley tones in there. So to me, it was still worth it. And of course, as someone who reviews makeup, I do want to show you both options. But the big one is 42 shades, which is too big in my opinion. This 16 pan, much more manageable. As I was trying this out, very nervous for it because I did get a little bit of an eye irritation when I did a look with this. However, I used some of the shades again and it hasn't been an issue. I just think that I was traveling and I think my eyes just became irritated from being in air conditioning too much. It can happen sometimes with me. So I just think it was a me issue and not a palette issue in the end. But this is stunning. It has really stunning taupey things and gray leaning things. Really good blend of like mixed, like a good mix of shimmers and mattes. You get enough shades for like the crease and the inner corner, and there's depth and there are enough midtones. So there are so many looks you can do with these 16 shades. And I low-key fell in love with this, which I just hadn't expected. I was going into this review thinking it's Beauty Bay. I haven't liked a single one of the palettes like everybody else does. So I don't know. And then I ended up loving it. This is a really good one. And another brand that surprised me is the Longing from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Don't get me wrong. I think Blend Bunny is one of the best formulas out there. They just don't really do a lot of shimmers in their palette. So that's always my issue with them. I wish they would just do more shimmers. It's just not what they stand for. They are the brand for like Instagram makeup, which isn't me. It's not how I live my life. But I think they do really stunning things. It's just that what was really missing for them was a good cool tone palette. And then they released this summer and I was like, I'm gonna snatch you up. Really, really pretty. Yes, these greens can perhaps be a little warmer toned. They are more olive leaning, but on my skin tone, they definitely pull a little grayish olive. So for me, it was fine. You get some neutrals, then you get 2 rows of like greens going into the like these green, gray, grays, and purples. Really, really stunning. And it's a good take on like a murky, cool toned, colorful palette, without giving you lots of bright options. We'll see another palette in a second where, yes, it has cool tones, but it's also like bright blues instantly. And I'm so happy that Blend Bunny stayed away from that. Some really stunning, like multi-chrome-y leaning shimmers in here as well. Really pretty. Again, my issue with this is still I want another row of shimmers with this just to make it a little bit more workable. I just like an even split between mattes and shimmers in my palettes because I'm just not a matte girly. But really stunning palette for sure. Another affordable option then, this is the Cloud 9 from Colourpop. And I think even though the lighting is terrible today, it's so gray and murky outside. It's like mist, like fog everywhere. So the lighting is interesting today, but I definitely think you can see the shine that this has in the clouds. It's a little holographic looking, which is pretty. And the Cloud 9 from Colourpop looks like this, really, really light. This is for my fairest of the fair snow queens out there. It's super duper light. You get a holographic shimmer in here, which is good. You get some really interesting things. This leans a little bit more purple. Yes, it has a sparkly black, but I just use it as a matte. But especially in the matte section, like these two and this, so light, so perfect, really, really good cool tone leading shades. And yeah, I'm very, very happy that I ended up getting this one. It's very light, so it's definitely not for someone who is even deeper than me. If you have deeper skin than me, you probably won't like this. But like I said, this is for the snow queens out there. So if you're super fair and you love your cool tones, try this. And we're gonna round out the video with 2 palettes that also have some more colorful things in, and that I think are really good. But if you love neutrals, these probably aren't for you. But if you like cool tones combined with some brighter shades, then I think these 2 next palettes are going to be great for you. The Cool Trolls from Cosmic Brushes, or Cosmic Beauty. I think they've now officially changed their name. This is lovely. It's really, really fun. It's just, for me, it just pulled more blue. For a palette called Cool Trolls, I would have wanted more trolls rather than, you know what I mean? Still really pretty. It looks again like you get lots of warm tones up here. On me, they didn't really pull like warm tones. It's again due to the fact that this has a certain background that these shades look more warm toned than they actually are. That's just the way it is. You get some purpley tones in here, and then it steadily goes into these brighter bluey purples. It's sort of like if the Fighter and the Wizard from Fantasy Cosmetica were combined, you kind of get this palette. That's how I feel. Yes, it has really pretty neutrals in. You get some like multi-chromes in here as well. Really pretty shimmers. Again, I could have done with like 1 or 2 extra shimmers in here, not gonna lie, but it has some really pretty shades. The main issue I have with this is the crease shade options. I just feel like nothing here really screams crease shade to me. So that's the only thing. But yeah, if you like a mix of cool tone neutrals with actual bright colorful shades, then this is lovely. But here's the thing. I already own the Winter Wonderland from this palette from the year before, and that I tried earlier this year. And if I want to go for a blue-purple color story, I would reach for that over this. So if you already own the Winter Wonderland, you don't need this. But if you don't have that and you want more neutrals in there, and you want the Winter Wonderland, but you want it to be more muted, this may be for you. And finally, this one, the Poison Garden. I was so impressed with this when I tried it. This is by Bella Beauty Bar, and this is so stunning. It's so pretty. Here we have that color story. Yes, it has warmth. I know. If you love cool tones, some people, if you show cool tones, they want the whole thing to be cool tones. Listen, people, the makeup industry isn't quite there yet. If they're going to give us cool tones, they're always going to throw in a couple of random warm tones. Nobody knows why, but it's what they're doing. Probably to appeal to the masses a bit more. So yes, this does have warm tones in. But it's okay. We can ignore the yellow and the orange. You know, you can just ignore it. Like if you leave these 2 shades out, it already looks a lot better. Here again, this really nice bright pop of blue that when I bought it, that was the part I was afraid of. But it looked stunning. It was so stunning. And this again leans into that murky, grungy vibe with lots of good cool tones. And that's the thing I've been loving, because for years, so many brands have been giving us grungy palettes that are warm toned. But I feel that in 2024, we finally got some good palettes that are grungy, but cool toned. And I think this is the epitome of that. So I definitely think that this is such a lovely palette, lovely shimmers in here. Again, some really interesting textures. I really love this shade here. It's called Wolfsbane. That's like my favorite shimmer in here. Easy to work with. Again, could I have done with 1 or 2 more shimmers? Perhaps, but this is such a good crease shade for me. Like these 2 combined, so pretty. It's got things that lean a little bit more gray, like this green section in the middle. So many good grayish greens in there. So pretty. And then these bluey teals, and oh, it's just so yummy. I think this is a really successful palette from Bella Beauty Bar. I tried the Smoky Glam last year. Liked it okay, liked the formula, but it was a bit big for me. And now that I have something that's a little bit more curated from them, I'm just so much more stoked for this. So the Poison Garden was another really good one for me. So thank you so very much for joining me here today. Those were my top 10 favorite cool toned eyeshadow palettes that I tried this year. Stay tuned for more end of year favorites. As I mentioned, between Christmas and New Year's, I'm going to give you the full lowdown of all of the makeup that I tried this year and what I like best, and also things that didn't work for me. And I'm going to tell you about things I want to try next year and where the channel is going to go. So I have lots of plans and other things that are going on the channel. So I hope you stay tuned for more. Thumbs up this video in the meantime, because that would mean the world to me. And if you could subscribe, that's even better, because then you can stay notified from when I post new videos, which I tend to do 4 times a week. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this video today. And for now, I would like to wish you all the best. Have a great Sunday. Take care. And then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.